Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LCK playoffs. It is indeed Gen.G versus Afreeca. Gen.G lead 1-0, but it feels like they lead a bit more than that with how much they abused Afreeca in game number 1. And let's see whether potentially a side switch or at least a mentality switch will help Afreeca get back into this series. Because the draft looked a bit weird with the mid lane Mordekaiser and things like that, and everything went wrong at level 1. And from that point, I mean, we don't really learn anything. Let's be real.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. That was one of those games where we kind of just have to say, okay, it got blown open right from minute 1, and then Gen.G are a really good team. Obviously looking a bit better than Afreeca here. And I know that a lot of us were actually expecting Gen.G to do pretty well through the playoff gauntlet, even predicting over DRX potentially to take the victory. Yeah. As Clid is going to get the player of the game here. Again, I just thought he had a huge just overall map impact and did so much for his team right from the get-go. He was top, he was bot, he was everywhere. And it's so hard for Afreeca to deal with this level 6 bear.
Yeah. He was setting up absolutely everything. He definitely was handed an early game, but he followed up just beautifully. I mean, they did this gank twice, and it worked both times. And this was with Ruler having both summoners. Like, it was pretty impressive. This wasn't necessarily a highlight. I hope we're cutting the video a little bit early.
Yeah, well, still got it going. You know, maybe a little bit too much there towards the end, but they cut it right at the end, right before he died.
Love it.
And 7 out of 9. So only one Korean cast who voted for Ruler, and the Chinese cast voted for BDD. So just a little bit of, showing up from the other different lanes there. Makes sense, but overall, just a great performance from Gen.G. And I would expect game 2 maybe not to go similarly, but I think that Gen.G have a huge... I think everybody's expecting them to win this next one as well.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think that there's very many doubts in people's minds, but I think it'll still answer some questions. As Spirit going to be coming in pretty early in this series. I was expecting him to sort of sit back and wait, but just going to get Dread out of there ASAP. Here are Afreeca, and we'll see what Spirit has learnt from that one game. I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion, that he hasn't learnt very much at all. Because that game really didn't teach anyone anything. I think they just want a switch of mindset as they move on in, because it wasn't exactly a great time for Dread. Currently, Afreeca are missing a bottom lane, and so we'll see whether Mystic and Ben are actually going to be able to make their way back in time for the draft that is going to be coming up pretty shortly.
I think, they're probably just checking the surrounding areas to make sure that there are no bears, and so they know that they're safe for game number 2, because I would have some big bear trauma after that game, as Clid was just so annoying for them to deal with.
There's absolutely nothing worse than bear trauma. That's absolutely true. Looks like we're struggling a little bit to get into this game. It might have been a bathroom break or something like that for Mystic and Ben. And they're back now, as you can see. Ben in his just chill hoodie. I don't know, it's pale purple.
Mystic got a drink of some sort. Some coffee, perhaps.
How exciting.
Yeah.
I really want this to actually, get a bit more competitive. Really hoping that Afreeca can show up here in game number 2 and show us exactly what they were capable of, because this is the team that knocked down T1, right? And T1 were looking on a tear towards the end of the summer season. It looked like they deserved their 4th-place finish and weren't able to beat the 5th-place team that they'd been able to take down throughout the entirety of the year. So I want to know what the secret stuff that Afreeca had was. As here we are, into the draft for game number 2. Afreeca will remain on the red side, and this was their decision. So let's see what they have planned for it, because it didn't work out at all in game number 1.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird choice, but I would imagine this means that they saw the draft and they feel like, oh, we made a big mistake here. Let's change it up in this manner. Or, let's ban these specific champions. We still like the red side. Let's see what we can do with it. And it's a little bit scary to do this kind of decision, though, because if you lose again, then Gen.G just picked blue for game 3.
Yeah, and then what do you do?
And you're like, well, all right. I would imagine they would start with a Volibear ban especially after banning Set. I don't think they're going to let that one go through again, would be my guess.
Let's see. The TF going to be taken away here on Gen.G's side after the Caitlyn. Afreeca did manage to fit in a center ban last time, but this time they are going to ban away the Akali and make sure that B2D isn't going to be having all of those good times that he was able to have on that champion. I think Twist of Fate is a great ban. Fly actually had some good performances on the champion, as Lilia going to be taken off the board as well. And they have to have a bit of a change of mindset. This is Spirit now. It's the mad scientist in the jungle for Afreeca. And so Cleared not exactly going to be as comfortable understanding exactly how he's going to play. Because he can play aggressively, he can play defensively, he can play Poppy. You just don't know.
So, I mean, it seems like Afreeca went into this draft and said BDD was the problem.
Yeah.
Let's ban away Akali and Set and Azir and give them Volibear again? I mean, you can take away Renekton, and maybe that's part of the, Spirit's a great Lilia player, but Lilia is also great alongside the Renekton. No sign of Nidalee at all in game number 1. Maybe we will see that this time around. Or maybe just jungle Poppy. That would be interesting.
Okay, Poppy is being considered. This is, of course, a Spirit special. Fly also likes playing it in the mid lane sometimes, but this would be the understandable pickup. And we're going back to the meta picks, Afreeca, and I think that's a good idea after getting absolutely clobbered in game number 1. Gen.G to round out their first round of picks right now, as Cleared will be playing the Volibear, but they're going to pick up the Ashe, as that wasn't prioritized this time by Afreeca. They could just lock in Ashe Karma if they would like to, and then they've got strong jungle and bottom lane, and they leave everything else sort of up and available. And flexible,
yeah.
But I wouldn't mind Lucian being picked up, or potentially a mid lane pick here as B2D is hovering the Zoe, as you can see.
This would be a blind pick, Zoe, that does come out here. But B2D, as we were all talking about, amazing Zoe player, did fall a tiny bit out of the meta. It's still obviously in the meta, but it wasn't as dominant or highly prioritized in like the last couple of weeks compared to the couple of weeks before that. Fly is considering playing Orianna. He did have actually some good games on Orianna this season, even ones where his team was getting destroyed, but he was getting amazing shockwaves and doing a decent job. So definitely knows how to pilot this pick.
Also, knows how to play a lot of things into Zoe because, of course, he is a very good Zoe player himself. So not going to be too worried about that one, as there's the Ornn ban up against Rascal. Ornn, definitely one of those answers to the Renekton that you can bring out. And Keen not wanting to fight against Rascal's Ornn because he's very good at the champion. Now Gen.G, think about what else they're going to go for. Is Ezreal going to be taken off the board? Might just be Mystic bans across this one.
You were mentioning the Lucian. I wonder if they would go ahead and ban that away. If they would give Rascal, the credit to pick up that pick. It is very strong in solo lanes nowadays. Instead, they're going to ban away Lee Sin, which is, of course, it's a great Clid pick, but I think
what's the Volibear going to do?
Oh, yeah, that's what?
The support Volibear was obviously going to be the choice.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I that didn't even.
I mean, it could, of course, be top lane Volibear, but it's not a great matchup for Volibear into Renekton. So,
but yeah, that's very strange. Very strange. They're obviously giving credit to mega flexing going on here on the side of Gen.G.
Good old mega flexing. Love it.
They saw the Freljord combo and they're like, well, those two must be together. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are Afreeca going to pick up here? I think they're looking for probably an AD. Yeah, and that is going to be the choice. Now, I mean, Life can pick away Rakan if you'd like to deny the lovers duo. But Ashe Rakan, I mean, it's a lot of CC, but it's not exactly a staple bottom lane.
Yeah. Curious that they didn't pick the Rakan first.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're going Xayah Rakan and you absolutely want that duo, then just pick Rakan, because they're not going to pick Xayah, but they do actually have a chance to pick Rakan. But either way, they're going to get Xayah. Maybe it's going to be played with something else, as Braum is going to be the selection here. So Ashe Braum again
Very
except
Froliodian.
this time being played by Ruler and Life.
Okay, we're looking for a top laner, most likely. Unless Rascal is indeed going to play the bear. And that might actually just be the case here. As Graves hovered and locked in. So, Afreeca did have the correct read with that Lee Sin ban. Understanding that Rascal is a little bit of a bear enthusiast also. And the Rakan for the last pick, a pretty obvious one here for Afreeca. As Gen.G decided not to take that one away. And so the Lovers duo there on the bottom side trying to deal with the Ashe and Braum. A much more comfortable comp coming out of Afreeca, but still needs to get some work done early, with the late game insurance policies being the Orianna and the Xayah. Renekton has to be basically the sole ball carrier. I don't know whether... I mean, Rakan can theoretically do it with the Grand Entrance into a knock-up, into a Shockwave, things like that, but he is very squishy. And so it's not exactly a reliable combo. I think Keen's going to have to do some work here this game.
Yeah, he absolutely will have to. And, I mean, they do have that top-tier duo, essentially, right now, in the way the meta has shifted for the LCK. And we'll see what they can get done, if Spirit can really make the difference from the jungle compared to what Dread was able to do. And it's interesting to see that Graves get more and more priority here. I think people are just trying to figure out answers to all of these strong AP jungler picks, and maybe that's part of the reason why Afreeca knew it. They're like, well, they're not going to want to play Volibear into Nidalee, so maybe they'll flex at top, and so we'll expect something else in the jungle. So they ban away the Lee Sin, but Clid still gets the Graves, and they have an immense amount of poke actually in their lineup. Their Gen.G do.
Yeah, they do. And a lot of early game power as well, not to mention vision control around the map. And I think the Hawk Shot's going to be important, not to mention the portal jump, giving you that extra vision over walls and things like that. But I want to see what the top lane Volibear is going to be able to do into the Renekton. Definitely a very Animal Kingdom type matchup, as here we are into game number 2. Gen.G versus Afreeca. No side switch. Afreeca chose to stay on red side, as I assume their invade is going to not be the same as last game.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was very creative. It was very,
so
very
crazy.
creative.
Oh, man. I never would have guessed that it would even be possible.
He's a retired engineer, so maybe that's just what happens.
He found a way. Yeah. That's a cool skin.
Yeah, that is a cool one. Very colorful.
I feel like I'm watching the Lion King with the contrast turned way up.
Yes,
Fly is in a little bit of trouble.
Oh god,
here.
This is another level 1 that isn't really working out. Here is Clid.
Just flash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the Winter's Bite connects. The flash over from Clid. This is the person you don't want picking up the kill, as Ruler not going to be able to get in there and grab it. He just wanted to put himself down. The beautiful Samsung Galaxy logo, as First Blood did happen once again. Within the 2-minute mark, and we might have a repeat of game 1.
Why is this happening? Like,
well, you see, Fly was in the river, surrounded by 4 members of Gen.G.
Yeah, and he has nowhere good to flash to. So I'm like, just flash, but on second look, I'm like, well, if he flashes the wall, he would have had to flash the Winter's Bite. That would have maybe been the one thing where Gen.G's like, okay, let's let him go. We don't need to expend, a couple of flashes or anything to get him, because he wouldn't have been as slow, etc.
Yeah.
But either way,
hindsight's 20/20, my friend. It's easy to say what he should have done, but it's harder to be him in that exact moment. But it's also going to be much harder for Afreeca to play this game 0-1 down with an Orianna that has no summoner spells in the mid lane up against B2D Zoe. And
well, they're lucky
Clid's Graves. Like, this is going to be really, really difficult.
They're lucky it's not like a really strong ganking jungler, because Orianna would just have to be the saddest, safest mid laner in the world. But thankfully, she's got Nidalee. She's got a little bit of health. Graves isn't going to be able to run in, flash, and stun or anything like that. Ruler does have some insane stats, by the way, across
damage
the board.
difference at 15 minutes is insane. 1,000 more damage than his opponent at 15 minutes is pretty impressive. Over the season,
duo proximity too. He's 9th, so I guess he's right behind
Ghost
as
oh dear. Spirit waiting for the pounce or the flash. Decides not to do either of them. Doesn't have his flash available, of course, and didn't quite have quick draw back off cooldown. As he'll say, thank you very much for the leash of your own Krug camp. As Mafia Graves definitely dressed for the occasion, stealing everything away from Spirit.
Yeah, he's just like going in the jungle right after. He's like, oh, maybe the Nidalee's here. But instead, he's just going to go take the Scuttle Crab. Top lane looks like Volibear's doing just fine. And no problems there. Of course, with no Nidalee to worry about, Volibear can be a lot more aggressive after the flash was just taken away as, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, as, remember, no cleanse. As he was waiting, Clid's going to be able to get this kill very easily with the end of the line. And, yeah, it's a scarily named ability, that one, because it might be referring to the game, it might be referring to the lane, and it also might be referring to the series.
Yeah, not much of a series so far, to be perfectly honest. I mean, Gen.G have just been taking it to them in a couple of games, and I was mentioning, oh yeah, Fly should be okay. Well, actually, up against BDD's Zoe, I think Fly is definitely going to have a hard time, especially before he gets boots. He's not really going to be able to dodge Trouble Bubbles. BDD is so accurate with that ability. Didn't even need to flash.
Very nice double knock up here as Ruler throws out the heal through the Ignite. Not exactly the highest value, but it does keep him alive. As Life is going to stand behind Ruler, and Spirit misses the spear. Gen.G still in a little bit of trouble. Graves nowhere to be found. Double teleports are up here from Gen.G, but they don't really want to invest them as Blade Caller. He's going to cause Life to have to pop another potion. Ben has to get out of there. Teleport does come forward here from BDD. The Ignite was down, but Ben's going to survive. And Bubble will not connect.
Yeah, not quite connecting there. And you were mentioning the Graves nowhere to be found. He's just power farming right now. I wonder if he can just get like a full jungle item. Let's see. No, not quite.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 minutes into the game, so if he did get it, there would have been some pain on the side of Afreeca. And the speed boost from the Zoe makes it so difficult for Orianna without boots to do much. You see how BDD waits out the entirety of the Trouble Bubble sleep to make sure that Clid gets there so he can do his bit of damage. And just on time are some stats here.
There's another one. As Fly doesn't actually use his cleanse, did have that one back available. Zoe versus Orianna is looking pretty Zoe favored here in the LCK. Remember, it was the Orianna picked into the Zoe. So, you know, use that information as you will.
Yeah. The thing about the Orianna into the Zoe is that you know that Zoe's going to be coming at you with a lot of portal jumps, and it's going to be very obvious where she goes to. We got another trade here, though. Yeah, another good double knock up there from Ben, who battle dances back to Mystic. Mystic in trouble, though. Doesn't have the Feather Storm, so he's going to have to flash. As now Ben, end of the line, comes through once again. Cleared. Is it going to be back-to-back? Life. That was not a good look. That was suboptimal. Not like this. Yeah, it's okay.
In the cons column is that one.
He's still living through game number 1, you know? It's,
oh,
it's like, well, I was just able to, you know, kind of do whatever I wanted in game number 1, so.
Well, Rascal finds Spirit actually is taking a lot of damage.
What
the teleport, what was that? He wasn't even looking at his jungler dying on the top side, and Keen, he's trying to get forward looking for Ruler, who's just going to flash his way out. This is an example of some tilt. Maybe we should be bringing out the Ocarina, because I think this game might be over.
We're going to have a concert in game 3.
Yeah, exactly.
If it goes like this again.
I need to learn Ocarina. Sorry, I need to learn the Ocarina version of Yakety Sax. That's what I need.
Oh, yeah.
I just, I don't know how to play that one.
Please do.
That's unfortunate. I don't even know how to play it on my saxophone, so it's just, I'm a letdown across the board.
I don't even know. I mean, okay, so take a look at this. All right, it starts off as a 2v2. Mystic and Ben, they do not expect the drop bear Graves to come out of their own jungle and just go past everything. There was actually no vision at all. And this, I mean, this is just... Keen is coming, and he's like, okay, you're going to back off, right? And he's watching bot lane. So he expects Spirit to back. Spirit doesn't tell him that he's backing. He stays in there, tries to fight, so he dies, and then this teleport down on the bottom side at the same time is meant to try to save Mystic from the dive that looks pretty obvious from coming in. So the communications must be everywhere. Ruler gives them the big thumbs down. I think that you know, that idea might be shared amongst many of our viewers at the moment, because Afreeca are definitely not playing the way they did in the wild card match. And I mean, if this is the way you're going to go, Gen.G are a really good team. I think they're definitely, maybe even at this point, more favored than DRX to make the finals after the way that DRX has been playing lately. If you're making mistakes like that, you're not going to have a good time. Yeah. You're just going to lose.
This isn't really an example of Afreeca, of Gen.G winning. This is an example of Afreeca losing. Afreeca are losing this series. It's not like Gen.G are necessarily winning it. Yes, they are, you know, taking the opportunities that Afreeca are giving them very, very well, but it's certainly feeling like a few unforced errors here. Is okay, this might be one as well, but this one is in favor of Afreeca as BDD dives on forward. Rascal still alive. Keen's gonna go down. The spear misses. Spirit's tilted right underneath the turret. As now BDD portals around, grabs himself a flash, and Clid's also here.
Oh my god.
Oh god, this is, I think this might just be a perfect game. Do you think it'll be over before 20 minutes?
I mean, I suppose that depends on Afreeca, how far they want to take this one, you know. Here comes Fly.
Who gets a turret plate. That's high value. He does have his Shockwave available, also both of his summoners, but he's not opting in for anything. As Mystic, Feather Storms, Ruler, relatively low, but now Ben, he's in trouble. Okay, the minion did tank up a few of the autos there of Ruler. Might have been a misclick, but doesn't actually matter. Ulti comes in, that's a very dead Rakan. Immediately, Rascal just puts them down. The power of the top lane Volibear with all that extra money. As now Spirit, he's running away. There's just really not very many options for him, as the Spear is going to, you know, find the middle and hit Ruler. But there are 5 members of Gen.G on the bottom side of the map. And, yeah, there's nothing that they can really do.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Spirit comes down here and he's like, yeah, I'll save the turret. Well, he's not able to do much against 4 people. And this play up in the top side, I wonder if we're even going to show a replay, because at this point, you know, that TOS joke we always make, I feel like it actually may...
Not a joke anymore.
Maybe this is the game where it applies, because, I mean, take a look at this. So Rascal gets fully baited. I mean, full bait. They got him good. And then BDD misses literally everything, okay? And they still couldn't kill Rascal, and both of them die. So, yeah. Like, nothing could have gone better for Afreeca. Nothing could have gone worse for Gen.G, and they still got destroyed in the 2v2. And then this is going on the bot side at the same time, where it's Ruler and Life just look a couple heads above Ben and Mystic today. And then to add insult to injury, Volibear's here again.
And instantly destroys the Lovers duo. At least they get to go to the Death Chamber together. That is a nice thing. There's Fly, he was down there. He was ready to book it in with the command dissonance. And then instead, he went the hell away from that area, which I do not blame him for at all. BDD has himself a stopwatch now. Also, his lost chapter is completed. We're looking to take down this turret once again. I believe this is about 30 seconds faster than the last time they took the outer turret on the bottom side. So one thing we can say is that Gen.G have improved.
I suppose so. That is one truth here, as the first turret goes down.
It's a 5,000 gold lead, sub 12 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, Spirit hit that spear. Okay.
There we go.
It's got that going on. The first Drake still hasn't been taken, so... And it is Infernal, so you see that Gen.G are really going to covet this one. They really want to take that one down.
Good arrow. It's going to split the map, much like Mystic was doing with a lot of his in the previous game. Mystic going to get tagged by the Paddle Star. Does about 1 trillion damage as the quickness comes down. Blade Caller going to be avoided there by BDD with that stopwatch as Clid comes in from the back side, but the Zoe's taken down early. The first kill there for Afreeca does come in as Rascal. He's jumping on forward as this big police officer ready to put everyone in jail. He does so. And Keen's going to be the last one to go down. As it is in fact the Graves that's going to do that one, as now Fly trying to escape. And this cop is mad. You know, these detectives that are just, they're so keen on solving the case. You can see Rascal, he is one of them.
Why is he doing this?
Oh, he's not going to be able to follow him there. He doesn't have a warrant for the Nexus and Fountain as of yet, but it's going to take a little while for his department to put that one together. Maybe another 7 minutes or something like that.
So, again, I mean, Gen.G don't need to be do this. They see Orianna and Renekton coming, by the way. So they've got the top lane coming down, but it's late. And this is a good engage. From the side of Afreeca, they're just a little bit too far behind. They don't have the items to actually get that damage done. So BDD is the only one who dies. Ruler, once again, just amazing kiting. I mean, this guy, he's just insane. His mechanics, the way he plays AD carry is incredible. And this is just in a casual game, you know, that they're destroying Afreeca in game number 2. We'll see how much he's got going. And the best thing about Ruler is that he's always just as good or better when it comes playoff time. So the guy is just amazing under pressure. As here comes Rascal.
Yep, ulti comes in. He's looking for the solo kill on the Renekton at 13 minutes, which is not something that anyone should be able to do on any champion ever. However, this Volibear is mega fed, 5-0 and 3 now, almost with his Trinity Force completed, but also has the Bramble Vest and the Ninja Tabi, so he's not going to be touched by any of the physical damage coming out of Afreeca, and Keen is an example of one of those. Arrow is going to pierce the heavens once again. There are so many arrows encircling Runeterra today. It is just insane.
Yeah.
Give us the full zoom, Jonas Strong.
I mean, he's not even. He still hasn't gone back and bought. I mean, he's been out. He's probably got like 3,000 gold in his inventory right now.
Yep.
He's just sitting there dancing in front of Keen.
He might owe Clid money. You know, he's on the Mafia graves. Maybe
as Moon,
the loan shark. He needs to actually collect a larger sum so he can pay back the gambling debt.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, BDD. Oh, Shockwave comes in. That's pretty nice. Out of fly. Gonna get the flash.
Yeah.
Nimbus Close is gonna keep BDD alive. As Paddle Star. Yeah, he's not gonna go for that one. That's a little bit optimistic.
It's part of why the Orianna is pretty decent into the Zoe. You know where she's gonna hop back to, so you get very.
End of the line. Collateral damage gonna be available here, but Clid not going to throw it out just yet. There he goes as the red buff is ticking down. Not going to quite do enough, though, as the Orianna grabs that kill. Stun comes down onto Keen. He's going to die, but we'll see whether they can get anything more as the Grand Entrance and Quickness come forward. Good blade caller for the CC. His life looks for the Winter's Bite. He'll find it. Oh, my God. The bear is so big. This is 100% Ursaring. This is not Teddy Ursa anymore. This Pokemon has evolved, and he looks scary.
Dude, this is the bear from The Revenant, you know?
Oh God.
The game, the movie where he like mauls Leonardo DiCaprio to almost near
death.
Yeah, this is
no spoilers by the way.
Oh man, Rascal's 7-0. He's got a Trinity Force at 15 minutes. Oh well, we're just kind of having fun with this game. Spirit looks for Clid, sees him, goes anyway. Says, well, you know, I can take this fight. I'm Nidalee. Clid trying to dodge. Notice how he dodges the W of Orianna. Nearly keeps him alive. Not quite. So they actually lose that one. It does feel like they're limit testing a little bit. They don't need to be doing this, right? No. But they're having fun. They're just going as hard as they possibly can. Great play from Life to get the kiting off. And of course, Ruler is going to always make the best of it when you do that for him. And Rascal's like, well, welcome to my world.
The scariest bear in the universe. Are we going to have like back-to-back Volibear POGs? And one of them's the jungler and one of them's the top laner? That might actually happen. As he's 7-0 and 3.
Yeah. Keep in mind that Afreeca said, BDD is the problem. Let's spend an extra ban for him and taking his Akali away instead of taking away the Volibear, which we now know 2 players on the lineup of Gen.G can play. I think if they don't ban it in game 3, that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board when it comes to their drafting because...
Well, I mean, they get to because they're going to be out of playoffs. At that point, they will be coming back. They will be our 4th seed, I believe, in the regional gauntlet. Sorry, 3rd seed, sorry. Our 4th seed will be KT. And the other 2 will be decided in the future based on who's going to be qualifying for Worlds and who's not. As now Rascal's going to get knocked up and is going to have to ult out of there. We'll see whether he actually survives, though, as Clid with the smoke screen. Trying to help his bear, but he's not going to be able to. That's a big shutdown for Spirit. As Shirley comes through and does get a fair bit of damage down onto that inner turret. Now Keen going for the engage. The Zoe is going to go down as well as the Rakan. You can see Ruler trying to kite this one out as collateral damage, looking to try and take down the Crocodile, but he's just got too much health at this point in time. Ruler now trying to kite. The Featherstorm comes in and not going to be enough to kill Ruler just yet. The flash forward, double kill now for Clid, who's playing frontline. The Crab Rave in the middle of the fight as Clid's going to get the... Oh, no, he's not. No Quadra for Clid. And Gen.G might just be able to break the base here. Oh, my God. Crab Rave in the middle of a team fight. Ruler, really?
Yeah. They're just having so much fun. Our Gen.G, that's what's going on now. They've got 21 kills in 18 minutes. Thankfully, Afreeca have some.
It's a 9,000 gold lead, sub 20. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's only so many numbers that we can mention. You guys can all see it just straight on. This is like... Okay, so first off, Rascal just goes in and eats. He's like, okay, well, I'm really fed. I should be fine, but he went Trinity Force, right? So he's not that tanky. So he goes down relatively fast, 4 members. And then this is looking like a great engage, right? The burst down onto the Zoe. You take away BDD right away. But then watch Ruler. He's definitely calling for this, as, by the way, Ruler gets another kill in live.
Yeah. Solo.
Yeah. And he's walking forward. He's like, yeah, bring it on. And Mystic, just a little bit of a fat finger there. Maybe he wanted to get on top of Ruler, but then he immediately died? I don't know.
It's still funny.
Yeah,
oh,
I don't
man.
even know what to... Like, there's no explanation, really, and wow. Well,
yeah. Where was the Crab Rave that time, Ruler?
maybe he feels bad now.
Yeah, maybe he's like, this isn't fun anymore.
It's too mean now.
Yeah, it could
this
potentially
is real bullying.
be it. Well, I mean, Ruler is 7-0-10. That's a big score. PS 0-0-15. That's more than double James Bond. It's like life is the super secret agent.
It's reached a next level.
Yeah, transcended. He's transcended MI6. As Rascal. Yeah, I mean, it is a bit of an emergency here. Siren going off for Mystic. Still able to farm a little bit. Keen with a Black Cleaver. That's all he has. And BDD and Clid just looking to try and take down this turret. Mystic fighting Rascal here. He's going to get himself a bit of a stun. Melee range now as ulti comes down. Mystic's going to dodge it, but Rascal's just going to eat him. It was a valiant effort there by Mystic, I'm not going to lie, but it just was not quite enough to be able to win the fight against the mega fed top laner that is Rascal.
Yeah. I'm not sure what else to say. I mean, this is kind of the way that the games in the regular season went for Afreeca when they played a top 4 team. Right?
I'm not going to... Dude, no. This is way worse. It's
worse.
Than that.
So what I mean is like
bad.
along the lines, right? It's along those lines of they just got kind of stomped. This is probably one of the worst stomps, if not the worst, of the season for Afreeca. So it's rough that this is coming to them in the playoffs. Now, we were expecting this as well, even in the wild card, but unfortunately, T1 weren't able to show up at the same level, I suppose. And Afreeca were playing, by the way, guys, much better than this.
Yes,
and they weren't giving free kills in level 1 2 games in a row. I mean, this is a different Afreeca that we're watching today, and Gen.G are taking full advantage of it. They're just like, okay, I mean, we're in playoff form. You guys clearly, right now, are not.
Well, it's absolutely true. I mean, Mystic played this one out as well as he could, but the shield certainly helping Rascal out there, and then the Chomp coming off cooldown. He's a big angry boy. 40% cooldown reduction already completed, and Righteous Glory has now been put together as well, so the Volibear not going to be quite as kiteable at this point in time. Ruler's still looking for an Infinity Edge, but should be able to find that one pretty quickly. Only has to put together a Crit Cloak and the recipe. As Drone flies overhead and does find Spirit. It's just a mission to clear out Vision. As I've seen this one before. I remember how this movie ends, and it's just like that. But there is a Crocodile that's going to turn up, and Rascal's going to stun him and walk away. And that's the strategy. This Volibear is starting to get way too scary. 9-1-4 now As Ruler going to avoid as much as he can. Can't quite get rid of all of it as BDD chunks out Spirit. Rascal from behind the turret. Going to get this stun onto Fly, but he immediately cleanses. Spirit going to get flashed after, but he does have a stopwatch as Rascal doesn't care about turret damage. It's a double kill for Cleared. There's one for Rascal. And I think they might be putting this game to bed right now.
Yeah, Ruler giving all of the tilty emotes too. I mean, you got a feel for Mystic. Yeah. He's gonna get arrowed here.
Featherstorm comes in, but that's only gonna get him as close to his fountain. And 2 Nexus turrets have been taken down. Life tanking up so much, actually, is now Ruler flashing forward. Ben gonna have to grand exit. And he's looking to exit this game as well, as the Nexus is going to be taken down. And now we're up to match point for Gen.G in the time it takes about half a game to be played. A lot of the time here in the LCK. This has been just an absolute shellacking 2 games in a row.
Yeah, I mean, this does not look like a playoff matchup, to be perfectly honest. This looks like Gen.G are fighting Afreeca in the regular season, and they got a 3rd shot at them. It's like a heavyweight boxer against a featherweight right now. I mean, this is one of the biggest stomps we've had in LCK playoff history so far. And we got another game to go, by the way, guys. We do a best of 5, and I was mentioning in game 1, I'm like, well, thankfully it's a best of 5, so Afreeca have a chance to come back. Now I'm like, oh, it feels kind of bad that it's a best of 5, because that could just happen again to Afreeca.
And look, this is a best of 5, so theoretically it should be a longer day. I think if Gen.G do that again, then it'll be a shorter day than the T1 versus Afreeca matchup that we had already. It's a weird turn of events. I wasn't expecting Afreeca to win, but I was just expecting so much more than this, you know? And it is a bit of a shame that they haven't been able to show up here today. But sometimes, like, we were actually having the conversation during that last series, Afreeca versus T1. And Afreeca, if they find momentum, if they find the right mindset in a series, then they look really good. However, if they don't, it has the absolute opposite effect. This is a team that is highly emotional, and they can have that momentum, they can move forward, or they can tilt off the planet, and that is absolutely what they've done by the looks of things so far in this series. They're gonna need something to change in order to get their heads back in this game. I don't know.
Something needs to change really quickly, otherwise, you know, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is going to fall at this point. It can't tilt any farther. It's just going to collapse, and I feel like we are heading down that route. I think that 2 times in a row, Gen.G got the better of them in the draft, and they just destroyed them in the game at the same time, even with like just a decent draft edge. And yeah, it doesn't look like much of a matchup here. So we're hoping that game 3 is actually somewhat interesting, and it's not just another stomp, so we don't have this day just be another 3-0. But I can't promise that to you guys. I think Afreeca are going to have to, they're going to have to do something drastic to really, maybe we see Jelly in game 3 or something, you know?
I think if I was a betting man, I'd have to assume that the odds for Afreeca winning a game in this series might be pretty. Like that could get you a lot of money if they do manage to do that for not very much, is like my assumption.
50-1.
Yeah, something like that. Not exactly a gambling man myself, so I don't necessarily understand how odds work, but yeah, it'd probably be a good bet to take if you knew that it was actually going to happen. Rascal just going to watch as Keen teleports away from his teammate that was just getting murdered by a bear, and that's sort of one of those telltale signs of, this went wrong, as Ruler getting the auto attack reset. And, I mean, Ben had some moments, but unfortunately, not all of them were great.
Yeah, there were a lot of moments in this game. Most of them were not good for Afreeca.
Yeah.
I gave my vote to Ruler. I think that Rascal did a ton in the early game, but the way that Ruler piloted the Ashe here, I think just straight up deserves.
Oh, he was very, very good. Yeah.
It's insanity the way he's able to play that carry, and I know that DRX are looking at the series, and they might be shaking a little bit. Maybe even Damwon. I mean, Damwon are super confident, but the way that Ruler is playing and the way that Gen.G are just firing on all cylinders right now, it's a scary thought for any team that might play this team.
Exactly right. And I think even against Darmon, you know, Ruler could be the difference maker. The bottom lane has always been Darmon's weakness. And having that strong carry down there certainly could be a way of toppling them. Definitely getting ahead of ourselves, though, because Gen.G will need to be able to finish this series off and also take down DRX in order to get to Darmon in that final.
Yep, that is true. Here's another Ruler highlight, essentially, that eventually comes in. It's another team fight that looks like a good setup for Afreeca, kind of like the one we saw down on the bottom side of the river. And then Ruler and Clid and Life are like, oh, you know what, 3v4? Yeah, it's fine.
Yep.
We could probably take him down anyway.
And Clid just frontlining absolutely perfectly. Ruler uses the minion wave, crab raves a little bit after that flash forward, which seemed like a mistake from Mystic. He may have had a plan. I just don't know what it was. And definitely didn't work.
I wanted to say, like, let's just skip the rest of the highlights because they're not very flattering to one of our teams here. Thankfully, they skipped a lot of the solo kills that we saw.
Yeah.
Which was also not a great look.
But they didn't skip the crab rave, which I think was probably the saddest point of the game. As, yeah, Ruler did a lot of damage. Once again, the gold graph looks basically the same. In fact, the graphs across the board looking very similar, but Rascal doing triple the damage of a Renekton, basically, on the Volibear top. It's making me feel like Volibear top's a good champion. And I don't know whether that's necessarily the case. But in this game, it definitely was. So maybe results-based analysis will come forward. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a short break. When we get back, game number 3, and we'll see whether Afreeca can get back in the series.